Welcome to TexAgs Rewind. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio presented by Specs. My name's Katie. I met Olin Buchanan for the first time today, and all I can say is wow.
That is actually probably not enough of a response. I will dignify that with this. Hopefully, you're the in-studio assistant here. You should tell everyone that. So Katie, unfortunately, has to interact with him like actually every single Friday. Like she's going to have to say hi to Olin Buchanan every single Friday and hear one of his, completely unrealistic, fabricated stories and whatnot. So, but we had a pretty good show today, Katie. What did you say?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I particularly liked listening to the Baseball Bunch and everything they had to say.
Yeah, I think so too. Billy was also on the show today. The Go Hour was the Go Hour. Are we double dipping on the Go Hour for the Rewind? I have no idea. But Kate, are you back there in studio? What did you like about today's show?
Well, we're actually double dipping on Liucci today on the Rewind. But I would say I liked when Liucci was talking about at the very end new seeding for college football playoffs.
To be honest, I can't hear a single thing that Kate is saying because I don't have an earpiece. But listen to the Rewind.
But I think that, I would like to think that you just look at what a team has done.
Right.
Because if they were to win today, they will have won without Sorrell and Lavalette. Then who's to say if they were? Because we're always basing this on if they win today. So if they win today, how can you, and I'm not saying they're going to be in, but how's that as a committee member, you say, well, we should leave them out because they don't have Lavalette. And I'd say, why? They just beat LSU without him.
Do you remember a couple years ago, Florida State 13-0, Jordan Travis got hurt, and they basically announced to the world he was done for the year.
And I thought it was wrong.
Well, I think it was wrong that they didn't get in. But I also think had they played a little gamesmanship, how different would it have looked?
Yeah, but here's the difference right at that time. You only have 4 teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Florida State was trying to get in over teams, and Florida State has a significant national profile. They were trying to get in over teams that had a significantly higher national profile. They weren't going to leave certain teams out to get Florida State in. Now, Florida State, you brought in Jordan Travis, they didn't have him. And they went and beat Louisville, which was a ranked opponent.
And they still didn't get in.
And they still didn't get in. So you're going to tell me, you can't win with Jordan Travis? Well, I just beat a ranked opponent with him.
But
without him.
I do remember the conversation being, had they not let everybody know he was done, like, we're going to evaluate in 10 days and see where he is, that maybe.
And that's what gets back to the
exactly right.
Kendall, maybe it's a smokescreen.
But look, I wanted to be happy 2 straight days. You texted me last night, party my Cuban butt off.
Ass off.
Yeah, and I did.
Good.
There was definitely a celebration. Look, they played very well.
How did you celebrate? I want to know what a Nuno celebration.
Actually, the celebration was kind of tame. Billy and I went to go have brunch, if you will, watch the game. And we watched it and all right, and then I went to go work out. But it was like yes, we
did an extra rep. That was your
celebration. I did an extra rep, yeah I did.
In terms of the totality of the season and what they're facing, if they lose tonight, they're not going to the NCAA tournament. If they win tonight, I think the discussion gets real, but I would still hesitate to say that they're in. But they're clearly back on the bubble to me if they win tonight. And with the intrigue of last season going to the finals and preseason number 1, this program still has some cachet. If you don't believe me, just go look at how passionate the fan base still is about A&M baseball. Go look at the national baseball tweets, whether it be from Kendall or Baseball America or SEC Unfiltered. When they mention A&M, it gets a lot of run and a lot of traffic. So this program still has some cachet to it, no question, and that will help whenever they go into that closed-door meeting about selecting the tournament field. But I don't think it gets real unless you somehow win today.
Well, let's get into what this offense or what they could do. Ola and I were just spitballing some ideas. I would like to hear from you. What do you think they'll do offensively?
Well, it would, if it were me, and it's hard to do in 24 hours because that's essentially the turnaround you're talking about, especially when you haven't done it all year. So you got to understand this roster the way it was constructed going into the season, had a lot of guys that hit the ball hard in the air. They don't run great, but they had a lot of guys that hit the ball hard in the air. If I were a head coach, and I've said this numerous times, I would recruit to my ballpark, especially at the high major level, because what I'm thinking is if I can recruit a roster whose characteristics as baseball players fit my ballpark, I can win enough games so that I never have to leave my ballpark until I get to Omaha. Mm-hmm. That's exactly how this A&M team is constructed. That's exactly how Arkansas is constructed. That's exactly how Texas is constructed. Georgia is constructed. Tennessee.
Vandy.
Like, they're all constructed to fit their ballpark so they don't ever have to leave it until they get to Omaha.
Do you think if they win today, okay, I think they might be in if they win today, the might.
Yeah, I think it's more of a might.
They keep you out because of the no Caden and no Jace, potentially?
No, I don't. Because they don't, I mean, and maybe that's gamesmanship on Early's part. Say, you know, it's Kendall's out there putting it out, and other baseball people that, you know, that finger, they were able to kind of pop it back into place. So that's not a sure thing. And no, I don't think baseball, I still think there's enough. Two things, A&M's in the SEC. And number two, they were the national finalists last year, national runner-up, and the preseason number one. And there's a lot of story still behind this team. And if they get in, it's going to be because their resume dictates it, which is why winning today might not be enough. And I'm not arguing with that. I think it probably, you probably need two. But I'm just saying the people that everybody's buying into, they're the same ones that told you they had to win it. Then they walked it back. They're the same ones that wrote A&M off as dead, then said they were going to be, just like we did, they're going to be hell to deal with in a regional. They're a 3 seed. They have a chance to be even a 2. Like, there was a moment in time where everyone was saying that too. So just because there's a national logo by some of these things, if following college basketball, baseball, and even football has not told you that the national talking heads move the target as much as anyone, then you haven't been paying attention. So I think it's 2. If they win today, lose tomorrow, I will be very interested in watching it. I'll feel like they have a chance. But I don't think they have a chance if they don't win today.
College football playoff going to a new straight seeding model. So the top 4 teams, as ranked by the CFP, will now get the top 4 seeds and a first-round bye. If you remember last year, the top 4 conference champions got those seeds.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I don't like how Notre Dame can just weasel their way into a bye.
Well, now they can get a bye.
They can weasel their way into a bye. You know what? There might be a year where they deserve it, but now they're talking about dropping USC, or maybe it's USC talking about dropping the Notre Dame series. But there will be a year where Notre Dame weasels their way in and doesn't really earn it. But I'm okay with that if the alternative was, you know, Boise State and Arizona State and a G5 and a Big 12 champ weaseling their way. Or was it Boise?
Boise State.
They did get the bye, right?
Yeah, and
because
Arizona State.
Because Penn State had to play SMU and the winner played Boise.
Yep. So,
yeah, like if 2 of the 4 byes, correct, were coming from the likes of Boise and Arizona State, like, who are we going to have next? Like, Iowa State with a bye and the SEC runner-up doesn't get one.
Right.
Like Texas last year didn't get the bye over
But the
Boise
5
State.
was the most ideal. If you were going to have something.
There is that. But
that won't happen anymore.
But you're right. There is that. But just don't do the conference champ thing. I mean, you're supposed to be adept at ranking teams. It's not like you're having to determine, like baseball, between who is the 64th team in versus the 67th. It is 12 football teams, X amount that are automatically in, but you're essentially seeding teams, 12 teams. It's not hard to do.
Yeah.
For a freaking committee that meets X number of times, how hard is it to seed them?
Thank you for joining us on the Rewind. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.